And on this video, I'll be talking about how I went from running 56 in the 400 from my first year running to the end of my second year running, and I ran 48. Well, it was my third year. So it was from my first year to my third year. So it's 2 seasons. How I went from running 56 to 48 in 2 seasons. Okay, let's jump straight into it. So of course, 2017 was my first year running track. That was my freshman year of high school. You know, I came into high school expecting to play football. So I was like, I'm gonna go out here and play football. But then I got there and I realized how bad the football team in my school actually was. So I knew that I didn't want to be on nothing that was losing, didn't want to be a part of a losing team. So I said, I'm not playing football. So I had to find something else to do athletically because I've been playing sports all my life. So I was like, I'm gonna do something. And somehow somebody convinced me to run cross country that fall. So I signed up for cross country. I never ran before. So I ran cross country. I ain't gonna lie, it wasn't really my thing, but I did it for a few years. I ran cross country that year, and then during the school season of track, the following semester, the coach, I was gonna run a 100, but I showed up to the track meet late. Like, we didn't have a bus. Like, they were just so broke, family. I just couldn't stand it. But we didn't have a bus, so we had to come to the track meet by ourselves. So I showed up to the track meet late, and the 100 had already ran. So my coach was like, you go down there and you tell them you run the 400. I was like, the 400? I'm not running the 400. So I went down there. I told them I was gonna run the 400. I was on JV. This was my first year running track. I never ran before. So I went down there. I ran the 400. And then I ran what did I run? I ran a 56:37. It was in March of 2017. That was my first time running the 400. I got first in my heat, and I got second placed overall. And I was like, my coach was like, oh, that wasn't bad. I was like, I don't know. It kind of hurts. So, like, this 400 might not be my thing. And then, so I got to practice, and I just no longer trained for the 100 no more. Like, I was only running the 100, like no 200, no nothing, like straight 100. But he put me in that 400. I never trained for the 100 ever again in my life. I ran it the second time, and like it was district time. So at district, I ran a 53.9. So I dropped 3 seconds just my second time running it. I went from 56 to 53. And how I did that was, it was like, that 100 training was cool, but that 400, I didn't have that strength part. I was somewhat already fast, cause like I just race people in the street and stuff like that. But that 400 is something about that end, like that last 100. Like, you can make it to the 300, but it's something about that last 100 that if you don't train for it, you just won't have it. And I trained for it. I did like a lot of over distance, but I also stayed consistent with some of the speed I was doing. Not really, but I was more like that 4.8 dude instead of the 4.2, because I was coming from cross country and I never ran before. So I ran an 800 that year too. I ran a 228. It wasn't good, but I ran it. So he just really used that 800 so I could be able to finish that last 100 of the 400. So in doing that, I dropped 3 seconds. Cause that same day I ran that 56, I ran the 800, I ran 228. And yeah, 800 was first, the 400 was second. And then the next season I came in, so it was just already established that I was gonna run the 400 and nothing else. He let me run the 200. I'm looking at it. I ran the 200 that year one time. I ran the 24.89. That was my sophomore year of high school. So I was in 10th grade. I ran the 24.89. I didn't know if that was good or if that was bad. But I'm looking, we must have been in a terrible meet because I ran on varsity and I got 4th overall. Dang, I'm looking at the my 400 results from this year. I ran 1, 2, 3, 4. I ran 4 400s and I got 4th place every single time. So yeah, I was training for the 400. So mind you, that previous year I had PR'd with at the end of the year with a 53.9. So when I came in, my coach was like, okay, we know what to work on now. We need to work on that last 100. So I did the speed stuff. So I was always the first person out the blocks. I was always the first person to the 300 mark. But then I would always get caught at the 300 mark, and then everybody would pass me. That's why I always used to get fourth. Because if you watch some of my old videos, I was always that first person to the 300, and 3 people would just pass me the last 100. They'd come out of nowhere and just give me, because it's like I just started walking. Because I'll just be tired. Like I just couldn't function. So I ran the 200 that year. I mean the 800 that year. I ended up running the 217, which wasn't good, but I mean, I guess I ran a 217 and I won though, because everybody was just slow. So we was jogging. I felt like it was going way too slow. So I just got in front, just stayed in front. But yeah, first meet I ran a 54.2. Second meet I ran a 53.5. And then at the end of the year of the school season, I ran 53.1. And then of course, after that I started running summer track. So that summer, I did strictly speed. I didn't do like the long, well, I did like 450s at practice, but we'd do like a lot of like 100s and 150s. Like I didn't get to run 150s at school. So 150s, and then I would like be watching YouTube videos, because I didn't really have a coach at school. So I had to like make myself better. So I was coaching myself. I was watching YouTube videos. Shout out to that boy, Jared Campese. I used to watch his videos. He don't even run no more, but he ran at Penn State. And I used to coach myself from his videos, like form and everything. And I was just working on my form, and I got there and I was like, if I can be technically sound, that'll make me somewhat faster. So at the end of that season, like at the end of the school year, I ran 53.1. And then in that summer, during summer track, the end of my 10th grade year, I ran 49.51. So I went from 53.1 to 49.51 within a month and a half, just of doing speed work and technique. Like technique alone would just take you way further. And then this third year when I had ran 48, of course the rest of the years I opened up with either a 56 or 54. So and then I had ran, at the time my PR in the 200 is 24.8. So first meet junior year, which was my third year running, I ran the 200 and I opened up with a 22.9. This is my first time running under 24 seconds. Like I never ran a 23 in my career. I only ran 24 and then I dropped down to 22.9. That was from doing speed work over the summer. And if you want to run a faster 400, you cannot just run during the season and just think you're gonna come back and just be fast. I realized that like from me running school track and then summer track, those people that run like year round, because I ran school track, summer track, and I ran indoor, you just gonna naturally be better because you just gonna be more in shape. So when it comes like the championship meets, like the state meets or stuff like that, you'll just be able to, you know, compete more because you're just more in shape. So I ran 22.9, 22.90 that first meet, and I was like, oh snap, I'm on to something. And then I ran a 400 later that day, and I ran 50.9, which was my fastest season opener ever. So I was like, oh snap, this year I might run like 49 flat or maybe under 49. And then the second meet, I ran 50.5 in prelims and 49.6 in the finals. That was our district meet, and I won first. I got first every single meet this year except state. So I ran 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I ran 7 400s that year, and I lost 1. So yeah, I ran 49.6, 49.8, and in that regionals, I had ran 49.1 in prelims. I was like, oh snap, I'm this close to running under 49. So I was like, I don't know what I need to do in finals. So this is like the only year in high school I actually had a real coach, my junior year, and he was like, okay, we're gonna work on this race plan. We worked on it at practice. You're gonna get out, you're gonna run the first 150, you're gonna chill, and then that last 150, you gotta hit it. And that's what I did in the finals. Like the prelims, I got out, ran the first like 120 and I shut it down. But in finals, I ran the first 180 and then I chilled and I turned it up again like at 150 and I ran 48.40 in the finals. I was like, oh snap. So my next goal was to run under 48 when I got to state. But I ended up falling. I ran a 54. Then So I had a new PR, 48.40 and 22.90 in the 200. And then my senior year came around, I only ran the 200. So 2020, I only ran the 200. I ran 22.09 outdoor and 22.05 indoor. And that was it. So really how I figured out how to run a faster 400, you just have to be able to run a faster 200. And if you can't run a faster 200, you just have to like be able to, you have to have a decent amount of speed. So basically you need to do speed work instead of just doing like, because you have those 800 runners that can step down and run a 400, but they still have that certain amount of speed. Like my freshman year of high school, I just didn't have. Even my sophomore year, like even in the summer, when I ran 49.5, I wouldn't say I just had speed because I only could run 24 and 200. It was just that I can run damn near some even splits. So you either have to be one of those or you have to have that speed. And like from my senior year until like right now when I'm in college, it's like more of that speed. So I do a lot of speed work, and technique will take you a long way. So yeah, work on your speed, work on your technique, and you'll get there. If you got any more questions, drop them down in the comments or DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is linked in the description. Hit that link in the description, DM me on Instagram, and yeah, we'll see what I can do. I'm out.